Chang-jun Lee slammed the folder onto the table just as Nicole Adams stood up to leave. "Then investigate me," he said, "but nobody will take my influence away from her." Nicole froze. The room went silent. She had spent 5 years fighting to prove she belonged in Seoul, and now the most powerful man she had ever met was putting his reputation on the line for her. 3 months earlier, none of this had existed. Nicole had been sitting alone at a small restaurant, staring at the untouched birthday cake in front of her. She kept checking her phone. Professor Kang had promised he would come. He was more than her mentor. He had been the first Korean professor to look at her work and see a designer instead of an outsider. Nicole had arrived in Seoul after university, carrying her father's old sketchbook and a stubborn dream. Her black father had died before she could ask him why he had once lived in Korea. Her Korean mother had avoided the subject for years. Professor Kang was the only person who knew the truth. "Maybe he is delayed," Nicole whispered. Then the restaurant door opened. A tall Korean man entered, followed by 2 assistants. Nicole recognized him immediately. Chang-jun Lee, chairman of Lee Group, Billionaire, and according to every business magazine in Korea, one of the most difficult men in Seoul to approach. He stopped beside her table. "Nicole Adams?" She stood. "Yes. I am Chang-jun Lee." "I know." He placed a small wooden box in front of her. "Professor Kang asked me to give you this." Nicole stared at it. "Where is he?" "He is in the hospital." Her face changed instantly. "What happened?" "Nothing life-threatening, but he was admitted this afternoon." Nicole reached for her phone. "I am going to see him." Chang-jun gently stopped her. "He specifically asked you not to come tonight." "Why?" "Because tonight is your birthday." Nicole frowned. "That makes no sense." Chang-jun looked at the box. "He said you have spent too many years postponing your own happiness." Nicole opened it. Her breath caught. Inside was an old photograph. Her father stood beside Professor Kang. But that was impossible. Her father had never told her about Korea. She turned the photograph over. 3 words were written on the back. "Finish what I started." Nicole looked at Chang-jun. "What did my father start?" Chang-jun sat down. "That is the reason I am here." He explained that Lee Group owned the historic Haniol Heritage Hotel, a landmark scheduled for a major renovation. Years ago, Nicole's father had designed an early concept for the property with Professor Kang. "The project was abandoned," Chang-jun said. "Why?" "Your father died." Nicole's eyes filled. "And now? Now Lee Group is reopening the competition." He pushed a document toward her. "Professor Kang recommended Adams Studio." Nicole laughed nervously. "Adams Studio has 3 employees. 4 if you count yourself twice." She almost smiled. Then she saw the list of competing firms. Some were companies with hundreds of employees and decades of experience. "You cannot be serious." "I am." "You expect me to compete against them?" "I expect you to decide whether you are afraid of losing or afraid of discovering what you can do." Nicole looked at him. For the first time that evening, she saw something beneath his cold expression. Respect. She signed the application. Over the next 6 weeks, Nicole barely slept. Her team worked around the clock. The competitors mocked them. One senior designer told a reporter, "Her studio is too small and she does not understand Korean heritage." Nicole heard the comment. She said nothing. Instead, she returned to her drawings. Her proposal became more personal with every revision. She refused to erase either side of herself. Traditional Korean lines would meet contemporary African patterns. Korean craftsmanship would sit beside artwork inspired by her father's heritage. Her concept was simple. The hotel should remember. On presentation day, Nicole walked into the boardroom with shaking hands. Chang-jun was there. She expected him to help. Instead, he barely looked at her. She presented anyway. When she finished, one judge asked, "Why should we choose a foreign designer for a Korean heritage property?" Nicole took a breath. "Because heritage is not a locked room. It is a story. And stories become stronger when more people are allowed to understand them." The room fell silent. Chang-jun finally looked up. Nicole continued, "My father was black. My mother is Korean. I spent years believing I had to choose which half of myself belonged in Seoul. I do not believe this hotel should have to choose either." A judge leaned forward. "What does that have to do with architecture?" "Everything." She showed the final design. The building should not pretend its history ended yesterday. It should welcome the future without destroying the memory of the past. When the results arrived 2 days later, Nicole thought the email was a mistake. Adams' studio had won. She screamed. Her employees cried. Nicole called Professor Kang. He answered weakly from his hospital bed. "You did it." "No," she whispered. "We did it." That night, Nicole sat alone in her studio, long after everyone had gone home. She stared at the photograph of her father until the room blurred. Her father had left her little, a sketchbook, photographs, and memories that grew quieter every year. Now Seoul had handed her a missing piece. Her phone rang. It was Chang-jun. "Why are you calling?" "Because you sounded hurt when we last spoke." "I am hurt." "I know." Nicole swallowed. "Do you ever get tired of people assuming everything you have was handed to you?" There was a pause. "Every day." That answer surprised her. "Then why do you keep letting them think you are untouchable?" "Because being untouchable is easier than being disappointed." Nicole sat. For the first time, the billionaire sounded less like a chairman and more like a lonely man. "You should have told me," she whispered. "I know." Neither spoke for several seconds. Then Chang-jun said, "Your birthday is not over yet." Nicole smiled despite herself. "You are 3 months late." "Then I owe you another birthday," she laughed. It was the first time he had heard her laugh. Neither realized that moment would matter. The following morning, Nicole returned to work. But the scandal followed her. Reporters waited outside. A competitor approached her with an offer to sell Adams' studio. "We can make this disappear," he said. Nicole looked at him coldly. "By selling my company?" "By accepting reality." She tore the offer in half. "My reality is not for sale." That evening, Professor Kang called again. "Nicole, promise me something." "What?" "Do not let anyone convince you that being Afro-Korean makes you less Korean or less African." Nicole closed her eyes. "I have spent my whole life hearing that." "Then stop believing it." Those words stayed with her when the investigation reached its most difficult stage. A witness suddenly withdrew. Another claimed Nicole had received confidential information. For one night, the case seemed ready to collapse. Then Chang-jun appeared at her studio. "I found something." He placed a recording on the desk. The voice belonged to the executive. He had ordered the fake documents because he believed destroying Nicole would damage Chang-jun. Nicole stared at the screen. "So this was never really about me. It became about you." She looked at him. "And you." "I was willing to lose the hotel." "Why?" "Because if winning it required you to lose yourself, then it was never worth winning." Nicole's eyes filled again. This time she did not hide tears. Then everything changed. By morning, photographs of Nicole and Chang-jun were everywhere. One headline asked whether the billionaire chairman had secretly selected his friend's studio. Another called Nicole his favorite designer. Then someone leaked an alleged internal document showing that Chang-jun had influenced the judging panel. Nicole's phone would not stop ringing. Her biggest client canceled. Then another. Her team became frightened. Nicole confronted Chang-jun at Lee Group headquarters. "Did you interfere?" "No." "Then why does everyone believe you did?" "Because they want to." She stared at him. "You told me to trust you." "I never asked you to trust my power." "Then what am I supposed to do?" "Fight for your work." Nicole shook her head. "You do not understand. Your name follows me everywhere." Chang-jun stepped closer. "Then I will remove it." The next morning, he called an emergency board meeting. Every executive expected him to crush the accusations. Instead, Chang-jun announced that he was recusing himself from the hotel project. Nicole watched the announcement online, stunned. Then he said something that changed everything. "I will not allow my position to become a weapon against an independent designer." The investigation began. For days, Nicole waited. Then investigators discovered altered emails. The leaked document was fake, but the person behind it was still unknown. Nicole received another call. "Your father's original plans have been found." She stopped breathing. The plans were hidden in an old Lee Group archive. Professor Kang arrived with them. Nicole opened the folder and began to cry. Her father's drawings contained the same idea she had presented. Not identical, but unmistakably connected. Professor Kang finally told her the truth. "Your father did not abandon Korea." Nicole looked at him through tears. He was forced to leave after investors rejected the project. He planned to return. Why didn't he? Life took him somewhere else. Nicole touched the old drawing. Then why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted you to become a designer without living in your father's shadow. She broke down. Chang-jun stood nearby but said nothing. Nicole wiped her tears. Did you know? Yes. Why didn't you tell me? Because you deserve to discover your father's legacy through your own achievement. She looked at him. You could have used this to help me. I could have. Why didn't you? Because then your victory would belong partly to me. That answer silenced her. The investigation eventually cleared Nicole completely. The judges confirmed that Adams' studio had won on merit. The executive responsible for the sabotage was exposed as part of a plan to weaken Chang-jun and force him from Lee Group. Nicole's reputation recovered, but something inside her had changed. She no longer saw Chang-jun as the billionaire who had appeared at her birthday. She saw a man who had every opportunity to control her story and repeatedly chose not to. Months later, Adams' studio moved into a larger office. One morning, Nicole discovered Chang-jun waiting outside. You look suspicious, she said. I bought the building next door. Her smile vanished. You what? He handed her a key. I thought your studio would need more space. I do not want you buying my business. I did not. She stared at him. The building belongs to you. What? No shares, no conditions, no repayment. Nicole pushed the key back. I cannot accept this. Chang-jun looked at her. Then do not accept it as a gift. She frowned. Accept it as proof that someone believes you are going to need more room. Her eyes filled. You really do not want anything? I want one thing. Her heart raced. What? I want you to stop thinking every person who helps you is trying to own you. Nicole laughed through her tears. That sounds dangerously close to advice. It is. She finally took the key. A year later, the Hanyul Heritage Hotel reopened. Nicole stood in the lobby beside Professor Kang. Her father's original sketch was displayed beside her final design. Visitors from Korea and around the world walked through the space. A reporter asked Nicole what made the project special. She smiled. It taught me that identity is not a competition. I do not have to choose between being Black and Korean. Both are part of my story. Across the room, Chang-jun watched her. When the event ended, he approached. Are you happy? Nicole looked around. I am. Good, she smiled. But I have a question. What? Why did Professor Kang really send you to my birthday? Chang-jun laughed. That question should be answered by him. Professor Kang, standing behind them, raised his eyebrows. You still have not figured it out? Nicole turned. Figured what out? He smiled. You knew how to survive alone. I wanted you to meet someone who would teach you that partnership does not mean surrender. Nicole looked at Chang-jun. He did not reach for her hand. He simply waited. She closed the distance herself. Their fingers intertwined. Chang-jun whispered, Where do you want to go next? Nicole smiled. Somewhere we choose together. And for the first time, she understood what her father had never been able to finish. A bridge between two worlds did not require either side to disappear. It only required courage to cross. If this story touched your heart, do not leave yet. Subscribe to Storyverse TV for more Afro-Korean stories filled with love, ambition, betrayal, and unexpected twists. And tell us in the comments, if you were Nicole, would you have accepted Chang-jun's help, or would you have chosen to build everything alone? Like this video if you believe true love should support independence rather than control it. And remember, sometimes the person who changes your life is not the person who saves you. Sometimes it is the person who sees what you can become and gives you the freedom to become it.